Hello, good day, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, at whatever time you're watching this video. Hello. Welcome to the first ever episode of Silly Talks, a video series where I, Sil, will be talking about whatever topic I'd like because it's my show and I will do whatever I want. Yay. Um, as you can see, humor is real here and the puns are too. Silly talk, Sil, yeah, sorry. I could not resist. Um, but yeah, um, try to keep it toned down to earth, livable, in a, and in a way where most people will understand. Um, and yeah, I'm also a bit spiritual, but that's just part of who I am. And most of the topics that I will be covering are spiritual or self oriented, um, but also about just life and things that come up. Um, so yeah, in this episode, and as you will have undoubtedly have clicked on the video and seen the video title, it will be about death. Yay! Bit of a controversial topic. So yes, life and death, and more specifically, how to die. Um, I've been inspired to make this video for a while now. Basically, I have found in myself, um, in my self-realization and my self exploration, if you will, um, I have found that my views on particularly death somewhat differ from um, mainstream beliefs. um, and I found that a lot of mainstream beliefs about death are very um, fear-based orientated or fear orientated. So and that doesn't really sit well with me because I have a very different, as I said, view on death, and for me it's just a simple natural thing. Um, as it was in ancient times, death in ancient times was something that people viewed as something normal, something natural, um, obviously something unavoidable, and just as a natural part of life. It was not the ending of life, but it was just part of it. Um, you have, for example, and people were much more orientated towards that idea of you're going to die, and they it was much more part of their daily life, of their spiritual life as well. The realization that at a certain point, this body, this vessel, will end. And they prepared for that in ancient Egypt. Um, there were very for pharaohs. There were and the higher placed nobility. There were very strict burial um, rites, which had been all planned out usually by the deceased, him or herself, um, and well in advance, sometimes 20, 30, even 40 years ahead of their scheduled death, because simply it could happen at any moment, and they had the realization that um, your life or life itself, you don't own it in that sense. More about that later. Um, but yeah, you don't own it, and it just like this, and it can be over. So that is a part of um, their way of being, of their beliefs, that they had prepared for that. Um, also, you see it in um, the Roman culture. You see it in the phrase "memento mori," um, remember to die, or more in the sense of remember that you can die, or remember that remember your mortality in that sense. It was sometimes, if not often, used as a threat um, to political rivals if they wanted to make a subtle threat. Just remember you can die, remember your death. Um, but they also it had also more spiritual, deeper spiritual meaning to that phrase, in that remember you're not invincible, remember you're not immortal, remember that at a certain point in life this ends. Now, I cannot tell you that when this ends, um, what is going to happen. In ancient times, they believed that you would go to an afterlife of some sort. Um, I personally believe that as well. I do believe in an hereafter. But if you're watching this and you're atheist, that's fine. It doesn't really matter once this is gone where you go to, because this is gone, and it doesn't matter here. um, um, and whoever was right or isn't right um, doesn't matter, because you're dead. Um, um, so yeah, so that, regardless of what your view is, it is something that happens, and the question then arises is, what is it? Um, uh, and it's very subjective. Um, you, there is a certain point of objectivity in there, in that this, your body, no longer functions. It no longer holds life. Um, that it doesn't have a heartbeat, it doesn't have any brain function or any other organ function, so it can no longer be used by the occupant. Um, and so you could say that is certain point or certain objective view of death. But I find that it goes much deeper. Basically, I see it as a transition, not necessarily that finality of there is an end. You know, there's just death, and that's it, and your entire being is gone. I don't believe that. Basically, because you don't see it in nature either. That it's such a final thing. You see in nature that that which is dead is reused, recycled. Dead leaves, dead wood, dead branches, dead everything, dead bodies. It's reused. It's taken within the earth. It's broken down by bacteria and insects and other beings, other creatures, and it's reused, it's rehashed, and put back into living things. It's now winter here. There is, since last Sunday of the making of this video, boatload of snow here. Um, and you could say that most basically everything in terms of leaves and of the sort is dead. Uh, there's no more life. The trees are completely bare. Um, and it looks quite dead. But the tree itself still holds life. It's only that in the leaves, life is gone, it's fleeted. Um, but not completely, because now there's snow and it's all dead. But in a couple of weeks or months, spring will occur and everything will come back to life. And you will see the beginnings of life, and that's how I see it. Life starts, um, and then it grows, then it goes through its summer period. It's full of life. It's bustling and beautiful colors, and there's warmth and a lot of really nice things. Also less nice, but mostly really nice things. And then fall or autumn comes around, and it starts dying, it starts withering, leaves starts turning red, um, and eventually they will fall off, and once it's winter they will decay. And it might take a couple of years, usually it takes a couple of years for leaves to fully decay into the earth, back into the earth, and become part of the earth again. And that is the cycle of a leaf. Um, the same can be said for a human. Uh, you're born, your parents made you, and you were born. Um, you grow up as a child, hopefully lovingly. Then you will have a life, and depending on what you do with it, it will be a good life. Um, and then at a certain point, you will die, and hopefully it's at the age of 80, having lived a full life. But it doesn't necessarily um, end for everybody like that. Sometimes it's at the age of 40, sometimes it's at the age of 10 as a child. How difficult and how horrible that sounds and may be experienced, viewed as in our society, current days. Um, it does happen, but it ends, or this body ends, it goes back into the earth. The energy that is holding, that is held up in this body, what one would term as a soul or one's essence. It goes out of this body and it fleets back to the source of where it came from. And then um, it this body has decayed and it's part of nature again, and um, it gives new sustenance to the soil, which the soil takes, and now um, crops can grow on that soil. So basically, your body still continues to supply the earth with life in some form, um, and that crop that grows and it feeds and it sustains the rest of the population of those who are alive. And then at a certain point, this is what I believe, in what one calls reincarnation. Then at a certain point, you you as the essence of who you are, this soul, um, sees another opportunity to experience this physical body and this physical realm once again. And so another two people come together, make a child, and you jump and or integrate yourself with that body. Excuse me, and um, you go on and live another life in a different body with a different name, a different identity, perhaps a different set of beliefs. That's how that on this earth is. Uh, Perhaps, and this is speculation, when we are um, spiritually very much evolved, we will remember what was before, but perhaps we won't. Um, in the end, it doesn't really matter. Um, it might help you, but it is not essential for being alive or having a fulfilled life or a satisfied life. Um, so yeah, that is basically what I view as death being, just something that simply happens. Um, it is not necessarily the end of something. It's not a final, this is it, but more a cycle of life happens, it grows, it withers, it dies, grows again. Um, so yeah, but then if you understand this, then the question on, and that's the title of this video, how to die. How does then one die? How does one then deal with his or her death? I would argue die gracefully. That would be my answer. What I mean with this is how to die. To die gracefully is understand that it will eventually happen. There's no fighting it. It is part of reality. It is part of life. Of what is going to happen, it will end. And there's two certainties you will have in this life. The first being you're going to die whenever. Second, you're gonna at some point have to pay taxes. I mean, come on. Everybody knows this. There's no avoiding it. Um, because even those who have tried eventually got caught. The IRS will have its due. um, yeah, but die gracefully, and what I mean with that is humble yourself a little bit, just a tiny little bit. Don't think, oh, I'm invincible, and oh, I am going to live forever, or I don't want to think about death because oh no, no, die gracefully. Understand that at a certain point you're going to die, and make this a part of your life, of your understanding. It will make you be more grateful for being alive every day that you have. That is most certainly something that will happen, a thing that will occur. um, but also it gives you a certain perspective on yourself in this, in the entirety of it, especially if you're active with your own death. Um, give you a good example. I am now, at the recording of this video, 27 years of age. I am considered relatively young, um, and I am currently very much healthy, and I enjoy a good life. Um, but it will someday end. When? Don't know. However, with my 27 years of age, I have, at almost all points, completely figured out how my funeral is arranged. Um, I know who will be contacted when am when I'm dead. Um, I know which burial rites I will be observed. I know in which casket I will be buried, and I know in which outfit I will be buried, and I know um, where I will be buried, because I've arranged it all. And one might say to me in the modern era, Sil, you're crazy, you're silly. Why would you do that? It's not something that you need to worry about right now, uh, because you're 27, you're young, you're healthy, you're gonna live for 60 years, right? At least. And then I will usually, and people told me this, that you don't have to worry. But here's the thing, I'm not worried. I am not worried that I'm going to die anytime soon. I'm not going to. I'm not worried that I'm going to die in 40, 50, 60 years, because I'm not worried about eventually going to die, because it's going to happen. So I've surrendered to the idea of, I'm going to die one day in it, in some form or another. Uh, I'm going to die. I hope it will be a good death. I hope it will be painless. I hope it will be peaceful. That's all I can hope for. But I'm not going to worry myself about, I'm going to die tomorrow. I might die today, or in 3 weeks from that. No, I'm not worried, because it's going to happen, and this is all I could do: arrange everything, arrange all my affairs, make sure they are in order, which they are. All my affairs are in order. I could die tomorrow. I could not die right now while making this video. Will be a bit of a bummer, because then it won't be uploaded, and you won't see this. But basically, yeah, I can die right now, and everything will be taken care of. All my affairs will be in order, and that's it. And that's all I can do, and that's one of the things um, death kind of, and puts you in your place, if you will. It makes you see a perspective, a larger perspective of this, in that I'm going to die, and then what is going to happen? My body will decay, yes. Wherever my essence will go, that's subjective and part of whomever's belief. I'm not going to talk about that. Um, But then what? People will remember you for next 40, 50, 60, 70 years. If you've done a couple of deeds, maybe a bit longer. If you've been a famous person or in the news, or you've been politically active and you did good community work, they might remember you for 100 years. But then what? To a certain point, who you are or your name that this body carries will be forgotten. It will be gone, lost to the sense of time. And that is something that puts you into your place. Good example, my grandfather, my mother's side, he died good 12 years ago. And I was reminded of that a couple of weeks ago. And there was this realization moment in me, in that, well, he died, but life has gone on. I've grown into, he died when I was 15. I've grown into a man that's 27. I have a life. I have things that I do. I didn't know him that well, so I don't miss him. I don't miss him. That maybe a weird thing to say, but yeah, that you can't miss what you don't really have known. And yeah, that is just something that puts you into this place. Like, the world is going on, it's going forward. He died, and we had Trump in office. We had the coronavirus happening. We had hundreds of celebrities die that we didn't really want to die because they were great and they went ahead of their time, as we would say. Um, um, or they were really old and they just went. Um, so much in those 12 years has happened. And his death, it didn't matter, it didn't change anything. And that is something that puts you into your place. There's two things. The first being that when you look at this, you understand whatever I do in this life, it matters to the people around me and to the people that come after me. In what I do, what I leave behind. For me, those are lessons of love, lessons of kindness, moments of compassion, acts of random kindness to whoever, but also to my loved ones, just acts of kindness. Because those things will live on in their memory. That is something, when I am loving to someone else, when I show compassion to someone else, the person is more likely to show it to another. And that person will, and it keeps the ball rolling. It will continue that. And that is what will remain of you. In this life, when you're gone, the things that you've done that have set things in motion with other people. That's the first thing. Second thing, that puts you into your place, if you will, really, when you really think about it, is that your life, or life itself, every breath that you take in and out, it's not yours, is it? If you really, really think about it, if you feel about it, if you really go within, it's not yours. It's somehow given to you. It somehow happened. If you're atheist or if you believe in a higher being, doesn't matter. It is. It's been given to you. Whether it's a random thing or an intelligent design doesn't really matter. It happened to you. It didn't just. You didn't plan it. You didn't work for it. It happened. It was just you're like, and now you're here. And the same will go for your death, and you're gone. You didn't have any say about it. You might think you did. You do. Some people you do, and they will suffer greatly. My grandmother, for example, she died now 4 years ago. She died of Alzheimer's. Um, but I have the firm belief that she didn't want to go because she had stuff to do on this earth. Or stuff to complete, things to say, especially a lot of regret and wanting to apologize and make up for to other people around her for the things that she'd done and said. And um, she clung to life. Every breath she took when in hospital, when in the convalescent home, um, it was a struggle. It was suffering beyond belief because she clung on to it. But at the end, did she have a say in it? We know, or I at least know now the answer. No, because she's dead. So, and that puts you into your place, doesn't it? Your life doesn't belong to you, neither does your death. It happens whenever it happens. It can happen now, it can happen tomorrow, it can happen in 40 years from now. You don't know. You cannot know, you will never know, because it's not yours and it's not up to you. It just happens. And that gives you a certain, it humbles you in a certain way, because how can you, in that knowledge, how can you say, look at how great I am? Look at my invincibility, look at my ego, look at my, whoa, I'm fucking amazing. Okay, yeah, go ahead, do and say that, sure. Um, if you can back it up, though. There's nothing wrong with confidence. Especially with the people who know me and watch this video, they will know there's nothing wrong with confidence. And those who know me definitely could tell you that humble pie is not something that I eat often or um, show. But in my personal beliefs, um, I'm definitely humble in that I do not see myself as something invincible. Um, I do not see myself as something that is larger than life or larger than anybody around me or better than. No, definitely not. My worth is not greater than my neighbor. And in this knowledge, in this way of being, this humbleness, it stems for a large part out of the belief that my life is not my own. My death is not my own. It ends, and that humbles me to a very great extent in that I don't have a say in it. So who the fuck am I to take another life, to be disrespectful towards nature? I have a monumental great a monumental respect for life in every form. Um, Might sound strange, but I don't kill spiders or on the wall or flies or mosquitoes. Um, and if I do it with very great consideration and with deep humility, um, because I understand it's not mine. So why would it then be mine to take? Why should I harm nature? Do some harm to nature? Why should I do that? Why should I harm another life? My own life is not my own. It can be taken from me at whatever point. So why should I try and influence something else that is beyond me? And the same goes for my fellow man. Why would I harm, consciously harm them? Of course, I can always be a dumbass and say something which might hurt somebody, and that is unconscious, and I will, if that happens, I will always apologize and be able to eat that humble pie and ask for forgiveness and say that I'm sorry. But consciously consciously harm someone, that is a very very no, I can't do it. Also based on the belief that my life is not my own, my death is not my own. It can happen whenever it happens. I don't have a say in it, and this can lead to also a very great opportunity to live life in a way, in a very peaceful way, but also in a very open way. If you know, and I'm not knowing, I'm not talking about a conscious knowing. I'm talking about, or in an intelligent knowing, like you've learned something. But if you know deep within in your being, if you make this a part of yourself, that whenever you can die, whenever this happens, it can be over. You cannot do nothing about it, and in 100 years they will have forgotten about you at the very latest, and you will be gone on what you have done, and or what who you were and how much money and stuff like that you had. It didn't matter, because 100 years from now might all be gone. You are not here around. You're not here to reap the benefits of that. You don't know. So the only thing that will remain of you in that sense is the actions that you have put forward, instilled, transferred to other people, and that are still felt in 100 years from now, because they, in a certain ripple effect, have paid it forward. And this can instill in you a very big peace in life, a peace within yourself, with life, but it will also, or it might also inspire you to simply live life, to not hold back, because it might end. Then you didn't do that thing that you really wanted to do. So and to follow that which impassions you, um, that makes you passionate about things, and come out of bed and yeah, I'm gonna do this. Um, for me, that is being an example um, to others, um, helping foster children, in my case, um, children that had a rough childhood. That is to help them, to be an example and a light for them. That is something that inspires me and gives me energy, gives me passion. Um, and it's again largely based in the reality and in in the belief that death is a natural part of life, that death, regardless of what you will believe, be you Muslim, be you Christian, be you Hindu, be you Buddhist, be you whatever, it is the best way of not discriminating. It is undiscriminatory. It doesn't care, it will happen. You could say it's death is the most politically correct of all. It's all inclusive. It doesn't matter. It doesn't give a shit if you're gay, if you're heterosexual, if you're black, if you're white, if you're yellow, or what your belief is. It will happen. You can't work your way around it. You can't talk your way out of it. It will happen, and this is and it is such a simple thing to say and to experience, but to actually be in that and not feel fear. It can be a difficult thing, but I want you to understand that if you look at death and there is fear within you, and this I mean this most sincerely, then you're seeking control over a thing that you will never have control over. And the only thing that I can ask you to do is surrender. Because surrendering brings peace. And it brings with it a tremendous power within yourself. A tremendous confidence boost in that sense that it's going to end. Let it all go. Those expectations that if you can surrender to that you can surrender to everything. Meaning that those expectations that my parents have of me, for example, their expectation, does that matter really in the light of you are going to die? There's nothing you can do about it. It's inevitable. It's going to happen, and your life is not your own. In that light, in that belief system, compared to that surrendering to that, how does it then view? How does it then look? Those expectations that your parents have of you, that stress you can get from that, possibly, maybe, most likely. How does that equate with one another? How does that feel to you in that light? That you have somebody's expecting something of you. I don't know about you, but I have two parents. I'm sure they're well intentioned and I'm sure they love me very much in their own way, but they have expectations of me that and projections of me and onto me that it's not who I am, it's not who I ever will be, and I can't do a thing with it nor about it. But I don't care. Seriously, I don't care. Because compared to my belief that my life is not my own, it will just end whenever it wants to. Why should I care about what another person thinks of me? It's one of the reasons that I can sit here in front of the camera. Believe it or not, I can be incredibly, um, or I used to be very camera shy, and not have a lot of self confidence or self worth in that sense, where I would feel comfortable enough talking about things like this, even though I thought about them, to sit in front of a camera and to publish this onto the internet for everybody to see, for everybody to criticize if they want, and shit all over it. Well, yeah, okay, sure. At one point or another, people are going to write something on YouTube in the comments, and it will be some dumb thing they will say, and they will shit all over this video, and sure. But really, if they watch this video, and especially the end, I don't know why they bother. Because compared to everything that I've talked about, and especially the belief that it ends like that and you can't do anything about it, it just everything else to that, just it becomes null and void. It doesn't have any meaning to that, and that is what I want you to or would like for you to take from it. If you can find this peace within yourself that you're going to die and there's nothing you can do about it, understand that it will solve a lot of your problems. Not all of them, and if you're in debt and you have money problems or stuff like that, or a girlfriend that really doesn't like you, going out every day drinking beer or whatever, and sure, I won't solve those problems. But all of your problems, they will get a certain perspective, and they will be much easier to handle and let go of, especially other people projecting onto you whatever they want and whatever they think. So yeah, that's basically my 2 cents about it. Um, my thoughts about death, and about how it can, weirdly enough, enrich your life greatly if you will let it. Oh, for those who stuck with me throughout the end, thank you very much. Um, I hope you enjoyed everything. I enjoyed the video, but more importantly, that you were able to take something from it. Um, if you have any questions, things you want to say, share your thoughts, or really like this and want to hear my thoughts on another subject, leave them down in the comments below on YouTube, um, or on Facebook. I will also post this video on Facebook, and we'll see if I have something good to say about that subject, and whether I like to and want to. So again, thank you for watching, and have a good day.